Hey everyone, this is your faithful host Josh Davison. This is the Bleeding Cool Comics Chatter, and as always, I'm Josh. I'm the head comic reviews writer slash editor for Bleeding Cool, and I'm joined by Eliot.
I'm your unfaithful companion. Huh. And yeah, I also do, just not good work ever. Yeah, I'm here, basically. I'm breathing. I exist.
I am alive. I think therefore I am. And today we're going to be talking about AfterShock's Rough Riders, Ride or Die, which is for the uninitiated, is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but with turn of the century characters.
Yeah. Again,
with turn of the century actual historical figures instead of novel characters, and it's the Rough Riders as in Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders, but instead of soldiers, it's him, Annie Oakley, Thomas Edison, Jack Johnson, Harry Houdini, and Monk Eastman. Totally didn't just read that off the credits page.
Wait. So you're saying Rough Riders was a real thing?
Well, there was actually a cavalry division.
Oh, I thought it was just some rap album. That's what my Google came up with.
Oh, you mean
I didn't know
DMX's Rough Riders.
Yeah, well, there was that. There's a whole album out there called Ride or Die as well by Rough Riders. So this might get some cross traffic, mate. I'm just saying.
Sweet. We've finally hacked the music industry. Yeah, so this story, it opens up with Alice Roosevelt's wedding, Teddy's daughter, and Harry Houdini rocks up and says, "Hey Teddy, there's some weird stuff going on with I didn't believe in magic because I'm just doing illusions, but I've seen some weird things, and I've already set the rest of the Rough Riders to investigate." And so you have Annie Oakley and Thomas Edison and Jack, what was that guy's name? Jack Johnson and Monk Eastman doing their own thing. And, well, an H.P. Lovecraft shows up at the end because we're dealing with matters of the great beyond. So, of course, Howard Phillips Lovecraft needs to be involved, which I felt like I should have guessed that one from the start because having read the premise beforehand. So this is also like the third volume, and completely admitting my ignorance, I've not read the first two volumes of Rough Riders.
Yeah,
I was like, sweet, this is a good jumping on point. And to its credit, this could very easily be like a story about like a first volume of a bunch of old companions coming back together. And the good old rider fuel right there.
Mm-hmm.
But so I didn't feel lost. It starts. It feels organic enough. They're like, okay, I can see what these people's relationship were. They all hate each other for the most part, ironically.
Yeah, no, I got that too. I thought there was no need to read anything previous to this. It respects the reader. It doesn't sort of like go, you remember the last time when we faced King Imhotep? It doesn't do anything like that. It's solid. And yeah, I like that. I like that they just barrel on through whatever the phrase is, and get on with it. Really, that's nice. And
I enjoyed the character chemistry, honestly. Like, even if they all just kind of hate each other, it's kind of entertaining. Especially with Annie Oakley just threatening to shoot Thomas Edison every 5 minutes.
Yeah, it says, "I know what you really are." Is that saying that she's actually Mera, what's her face, the vampire, or something? Because I didn't understand that reference.
I I didn't really understand it either.
Okay, well, maybe that's intrigue for a future thing. Then it's not something to get hung up on.
I mean, if there is a reference to prior stories that we may not be privy to, I think it would be that.
Yeah.
As far as it being, trying to lean into Lovecraft inspiration, I'd say it isn't like the most intriguing start of Lovecraft inspired stories that I've read, but it's not bad either. It's like,
yeah, that was my thoughts as well. It's fine.
Yeah, like, okay, cool. Someone's trying to channel like the undead, accidentally, got on the speed dial to a juicy, squiddy elder god. And
Juicy. At least they're not thirsty. I thought the only really Lovecraftian thing about it was the writing on the the writing from the soul that happened in there. That was the only really like Lovecraftian thing that I could see in there, and even that was more Klingon. That was just an immediate reaction to the page on my tablet there. It's what do you make of the art? I mean, it reminds me of someone, and I can't remember who, but that's something that we shouldn't ever really do. Oh, it reminds me of such and such, because that's dissing the actual artist.
I do that all the time. My written reviews.
It's good. What do you think about the characterization though? Because sometimes it feels a little bit stiff, but it's only occasionally. Other than that, there's good movement really. Between panel to panel and within a scene.
I will agree that the characters don't. I mean, of course, that might be just kind of the nature of what they're doing. They never really seem like they're in an action pose. But I do like some of the touches of like the people who died in the seance, or like got like the rigor mortis going on, or like doing terrified poses. I like some of the angle shots, especially like there's one scene when Houdini is explaining terrible things, and it's like underneath, shadowed, he looks kind of pensive.
The fire part as well is a good use of lighting in that particular scene, where he's picking up the poker, heating the poker, and then he's about to grab the poker with his hand. It does what he's talking about in the imagery as well, which is obviously a sole tenet of comicsing, is to be able to tell the story with the pictures as well, and it's a really nice thing that they do in that particular scene. I think it's quite accomplished actually for what it is, even if some of the coloring might come across as not basic. No, it's not basic at all. It's shaded really nicely. It's just it might just be, I don't know what I'm thinking with that. Sorry, I'm just looking back at it again. I hadn't written anything down about that, and I just noticed that I'm probably a bit wrong there.
I think I do think the coloring is. I think it's pretty good overall. I will say, I guess it doesn't really. It doesn't dance around with more mixed shades. I think that might be what you were trying to go with that, because everything either seems it's black or it's white or it's a primary color.
It looks like there's digital shading, which by the way is fine, especially on for companies here. They've got to get things out and on a budget. I like that. I think it actually fits with everything else I think about this comic, that it's quite simplistic.
It's like turn of the century. It's you kind of trying to convey this idea that it is a time before, it is a time without all the
Yeah, I mean, I was just merely going to say I think the whole book is quite simplistic, but in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't think that they belabor any deep character stuff particularly. I don't think that they do anything that is so clever that you're going, or anything that you can pull on your skinny jeans and talk about over some bare wooden floor sawdust coffee in Portland. It's in there. It's succinct and it's simple. It's simple, and that simplicity actually really helps the storytelling, I think. I'm not saying simple as a negative thing here. I have to try and state that. We're going to talk about Abbott soon, or previously, or however this works. I don't know how continuity works on the internet, and maybe I'll have a mustache by then. I don't say mustache like that. And this does Supernatural better than. So I might as well give my full thoughts on it right now. Better than Abbott, I feel. But that's because I have other problems with Abbott, which really, really take me out of the story a bit.
Yeah, we'll get to Abbott.
Yeah, we will. But the simplicity, the punchiness, it's in there and it's rolling. Everything works, and also there's no. I mean, you can beat me if you need to. There's no fucking about here. It
really fits the personality of the characters too, just because it's like oh, I guess we're gonna have to do a job now. And the fact that at least at this point in their relationship, they don't seem to like each other very much. Yeah. So it's just like, okay, we need to do this. There's something. It's a bunch of people coming together to do a job. It kind of.
And sure, that's an old. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say almost kind of. I was about to make it like. Say it's a little Nolan-y in that way, but it's very Nolan.
It's not, is it? It's not folding in on itself at any point, is it?
Well, yeah, no, but yeah, and it's not trying to convey anything like no. Anywho, scratch that.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's utilitarian in an appealing way. I guess that's the best way to put it. And I think that's kind of a good place to start the wrap up. It's kind of it's simple.
What? I would say my one negative is I probably wouldn't myself continue to read it because I've had my fill of classical ensemble casts, whether League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, nothing, characters that weren't real or kind of semi-real or whatever, or whether it's 5/5 of Science, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Manhattan Projects. I'm not saying that this is a rote thing, and people should read this. That will my final thoughts would be: this is you should read this. You should buy this. AfterShock make good comics. This is a good comic. Buy this comic. Probably better than a lot of the stuff that's well, maybe not a lot of the stuff, but quite a bit of the stuff at the big two as well. Image, the AfterShock are doing really well at the moment, and I think this is another good example of that.
Yeah, AfterShock in terms of publishers, like producing comics, I genuinely enjoy. AfterShock has like the highest because they don't offer a whole lot, but what they do offer tends to be pretty quality. The only one of theirs that I'm like, I kind of am I am reticent to return to, though I keep doing it, is Fujitsu, which is ironically another story like this where a bunch of historical figures come together to do. I don't even know.
So it's not about printers. Okay.
No.
Okay, all right.
It's about the world's tallest man. He's the villain.
Oh, okay.
It's the dude. What was his name? I don't know.
Whilst you're trying to work that out, I will just say, it's not. It's. I mean, I guess I just don't have a lot of time for this type of for the what is it, supernatural ish books ish. Not all the time. Sometimes they really work for me. But take Cullen Bunn, for example, who that's his jam, right? That's where he is. That's what's the one with the gun one, 6 guns or 5 guns, something like that. Anyway, it's his he's awesome, and yet I don't have time for it. It's just one of those things that I can't really get into. I don't know why.
And I think it's something with the medium, and I think we'll really touch on this when we get to Abbott.
Sure.
There always seems to be that self-conscious need to okay, we have this is in a comic book, so we need something weird and out there to attract a readership, and usually that culminates in something supernatural. Though again, here it's I mean, it doesn't feel inorganic. And again, I don't know I haven't read the previous, the volume, so maybe this is kind of thing that they do mention finding the Grim Reaper. So I assume that they've felt with that they've dealt with supernatural things before.
Yeah,
but I think there could have been a version of this without H.P. Lovecraft and literal Lovecraftian horrors.
Yeah.
But in any case, I still think it's fun. I think it's enjoyable.
Oh, it's a buy for me. If
yeah,
I mean, how much is it on the shelves, by the way?
$4.
Do you have $4? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my predicament would put me in a state where I can't spend that much on a comic book. But if I could afford to buy it, I would. Definitely.
Yeah, I'd
recommend it to people who can afford it.
Yeah, I could definitely recommend this. I haven't written my review on this yet, but it's definitely gonna be positive. It's
good.
Definitely gonna be recommended. Probably at least like a 7.0, if not more.
Nice.
Cool. And with that, guess we'll wrap up here. I'm your faithful host, Josh Davison. You can find me writing comic reviews for Bleeding Cool, and I'm also the reviews editor. And you can find me on Twitter at Josh Davison Bolt, because the Thunderbolts are life. And this is Eliot, and you can find him at Ellipses.
The bottom of you can find me in Ellipses. It's one of my favorite things. You can find me at the bottom feeding at the bottom of all of the articles at Bleeding Cool when the comments are working, which they're not at the moment, which is really nice. And on Twitter, Cole_Eliot, ELIOT. I review comics occasionally. Hope to maybe review one in the next few days. We'll see how that goes.
And with that, bye.
Bye.